Have a close look at these interesting photos. They all tell a different story, but they have one thing in common. They could have been taken anywhere in the world, in a small and boring town, or a big and busy city. And even though it's true that certain places like London, Tokyo, or New York have more photographic opportunities, the truth is that we do not have the opportunity or want to live in busy places like that. Some places may be more photogenic than others, but I believe you can take great photos anywhere. The only thing that changes is your approach, and this is what we are going to discuss today. So whether you live in the suburbs, in a small city, or in a big busy city and you just want a new way to see things, then this video is for you. And before we continue, smash that like and subscribe button, especially if you want to see more videos like this. Alright, let's get started. The truth is that no matter where you live, there are always people around. Unless of course you live in a cabin in the woods. Quiet streets and towns may not have fast pacing and layered scenes, but they still have interesting things happening. Moreover, I actually believe it's easier to take photos in small towns. In those places, people are actually more open to be photographed, especially if they know you. So use that to your advantage. Keep your eye out for interesting reactions like, for example, someone shading their eyes from the sun or having the hair blowing across their face from the wind. Other great scenes you may come across include people praying, working in their workshop, having a beer with friends, or even napping under the sun. These unique moments can happen anywhere, in big cities or small towns, boring or busy places. Since in quieter places there are not fast-pacing scenes, you will have to change your approach when you photograph. Instead for hunting for scenes or chasing people, you'll have to take it slower and wait for the moment to unfold. In those cases, try to find an interesting obstacle location and use that as your starting point. Then all you have to do is wait for someone to walk into the scene and complete the frame. For example, when I was traveling in Suzenji, a small town in the Izu area of Japan, I found a scene I really like at the bus stop. The light was just perfect, hitting both the bus and the big sign. All I needed was someone to complete the scene. I waited a few minutes and finally someone walked in with just the right posture. In more quiet places, patience is the key. Keep your focus on people, but wait until the moment is right before you take the shot. Most photographers chase the exciting moments in busy environments, often overlooking the quiet moments that can be even more powerful. I actually believe that the mundane is more interesting than we think. Everyday scenes have their own charm and they are a great way to make photographs. And the best thing is that quiet and boring places are full of them. Let me give you an example from my experience. I used to live in the suburbs of Athens, far away from the busy and bustling streets of the city center, where all the exciting things used to happen. One day I was in the mood to go out and photograph casually, but I didn't feel like spending 45 minutes traveling all the way to the city center. So I grabbed my camera and decided to see what my neighborhood had to offer. That same day I came across a local street market and decided to document it. I arrived right before the market was about to close and it wasn't very crowded. That allowed me to slow down and appreciate those mundane moments while making some nice photographs. Visiting a local market is just one way to find the story in the everyday, but it's not the only one. You can also look for overlooked daily routines like people commuting, taking a quick break from work, or helping each other. Recreational spaces and playgrounds where families and kids gather are also great places. The same goes for libraries, museums, parks, and all kinds of public spaces where people come together. Even simple moments like someone walking their dog or sitting alone with their thoughts can tell a great story. As you can see, the options are endless. The key thing is to observe and let everyday life reveal itself, because often the story is already there. It is just waiting to be noticed. The truth is that good light is good no matter where you are, in a small city or in New York. In both cases you can use it to transform an ordinary scene into something extraordinary. And on the other hand, foggy, cloud or any weather has its own charm too and can help you create some very atmospheric photos. So whether you are in a warm and a sunny place or a cold and rainy one, use both weather conditions to your advantage. First, let's have a look on how you can use good light to shape your photos. One day I was walking through a very boring neighborhood in Amsterdam when nothing was really happening. Suddenly I noticed a beam of light hitting some flowers on the wall. I decided to wait, and when the right subjects entered the frame, I took the photo. Their faces were hidden in shadow, creating a mysterious feeling, all in a completely unexpected place. Even in places where nothing is happening, light can completely transform the scene. Pay attention to how light and shadow fall on ordinary surfaces and look for high contrast frames. Then wait for an interesting subject to step into the scene and take the photo. The key to achieving these photos with deep shadows is by exposing your scene by 1 or 2 stops. If you live in a place where the light is limited and the weather is more gloomy and cold, you can still take great photos. In this case, you will have to change your approach and focus on taking more low contrast and moody photos. Fog, rain and snow are perfect for creating minimalist and atmospheric images. So watch how people behave in these conditions and capture them as they go about their day. Also pay attention to how weather affects your surroundings. For example, shooting through windows or glass can add a creative twist to your photos. By the way, I have created a separate video on how to photograph during overcast and cloudy days, so feel free to watch it for more inspiration. I will put a link in the description below. In the end, weather gives character to a place, so no matter where you live, use it to your advantage and let it shape your photos. Local events are one of the best ways to find and capture interesting moments. Parades, festivals, community gatherings bring people together and they create unique stories. And you can find them anywhere, even in the most remote and quiet places. The great thing is that it's usually easier to photograph during events because people expect to be photographed, and sometimes they may even ask for it. Depending on the location, you can find all kinds of events, from quiet and intimate celebrations like religious ceremonies to loud and busy gatherings like protests, food festivals, or street parties. In any case, my advice when photographing is to use a wide-angle lens like 28 or 35mm and get close to capture the intimate moments rather than shooting from afar. Since people expect to be photographed, it's easier to get natural reactions, which helps create more compelling photos that highlight the energy of the event and its people. When photographing events, another approach I like to follow is to shift my focus away from the main event and focus on its surrounding and unseen moments. These are actually the very moments that reveal its true character. Let me show you what I mean. I was recently photographing Sail, an event in Amsterdam where tall ships arrive from all around the world. After a while of photographing the main event, I shifted my focus from the big ships to the people and the small moments that no one was noticing. In my opinion, these moments were even more spectacular than the event itself and were the ones that made it so unique. So next time you see an event taking place where you live, pick up your camera and join it with curiosity to capture not only the event, but everything that most people wouldn't see. So far we focused on capturing interesting moments and people, but what happens when none of these are around? In those cases you can completely change your approach and make the place your main subject. This will give you the opportunity not only to see a place differently, but also to create some very original work. And there are many ways to photograph a location that doesn't have much going on. One of the most common ways to do that is by focusing on architecture. Even the most boring places have shapes, texture or colors that are worth photographing. Unique buildings, walls, doors or windows can say a lot on their own, especially photographed with the right angle or light. Personally, I prefer shooting in color when a location has a strong visual palette, and in black and white during moody weather or when I want to highlight the texture. You can also go a step further by exploring areas outside the main parts of your town, like remote temples, abandoned buildings, or even nearby natural spaces. These locations often reveal a different side of your environment and can add depth to your work. Another great approach is by photographing still life or objects of high interest. And I cannot predict what those objects are where you live, but usually I look out for things that stand out on their own or give a special meaning to a place. For example, a few months ago I came across a mob sitting alone against the backdrop of a protected archaeological site covered in graffiti. I felt it gave the scene a unique meaning, so I took the photo. Other things I like to photograph are unusual structures that stand out, items that people leave behind, or interesting signs and posters. So when no one is around, don't be discouraged. Instead, observe and let the place speak for itself. Sometimes the quietest scenes can give you your strongest photos. The biggest takeaway from today is that no matter where you are, there is always something to photograph. Either that is the people, the everyday life, events, or even the place itself. The secret is to train your eye and see the potential in what's around you. So next time you go out to shoot, try the following experiment. Pick an ordinary city wherever you live and try to photograph with any of the 5 approaches we just discussed today. You will be surprised with how much you can discover in places that you thought were boring. Photography isn't just about capturing photos, it's also about learning to see wherever you are. But also, let me know what other ways you use to photograph in boring and quiet places. I'm always curious to find out about new approaches. And that's all for today, folks. Happy shooting and see you again next time.